Hello everyone, my name is Seth and today I'm going to give you my review of Wonka. To be quite honest, I think along with a lot of other people, I was kind of skeptical of this film when it was first announced. I wasn't really so sure about it. I didn't really think it was a good idea. And then they started to add talent. They got Timothée Chalamet, Paul King, who did the Paddington films, was going to direct it. And it's never a bad idea to keep adding talent to a project. And so I was at least intrigued. And so I finally got around to watching it, and I'm glad I did. But before I go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. If I could describe this film in one word, it would be charming. This film just oozes charm right from the very beginning, right from the start, the opening song. It's just delightful. And honestly, I feel like this is what you could expect from the director of the Paddington films. Just something feel good and delightful. And this truly is a feel good movie. This is just a nice, easy watch, and it's just a kind of heartwarming film. The story is relatively straightforward. There's nothing groundbreaking, no bells and whistles to the story here. We follow a young Willy Wonka who wants to open a chocolate store in a city renowned for its chocolate, only to find out when he gets there that the city is kind of ran by a greedy chocolate cartel. So even though the story is relatively simple, the themes aren't anything we haven't seen before. I feel like this movie is more about the characters and the situations that they're put in and how they overcome those situations. So I would say the story definitely just serves its purpose. And for those of you who don't know, this is a musical, and it lets you know that right from the very beginning. If you saw my Mean Girls review I did last week, you know that I really do like musicals. I was involved in some musicals and some theater growing up, and so it kind of has a soft spot in my heart. But this film does just about everything I would want to see in a movie musical. All of the songs are great. I'm definitely going to be listening to the soundtrack in my free time. They're well written, they're catchy, they're a lot of fun, and they're very beautiful at times. These songs do such a good job of adding to like the whimsy and the fantastical elements all throughout this film. Timothée Chalamet has a good voice, and honestly, he adds quite a bit of character to each one of his songs. But really, everyone does a great job with the songs. They all put their own kind of spin on it. Musicals give the filmmaker a lot of opportunity all throughout the film to get really creative, especially during the musical numbers. And they absolutely do that here. All of the musical numbers are a lot of fun, and especially the opening musical number. They do such a good job there, just going in and setting the tone. I also love the song in the chocolate shop as well. The visuals and the color, the cinematography during these sequences are just really well done. It makes for a very visually appealing film. Just the amount of things going on is impressive. I also really do love the song and the sequence at the zoo. And the thing they did with the balloons there during that sequence was just really cool. This is a pretty film to watch. The cinematography, even during the non-musical sections, is really well done. And so I'm really glad that they get creative outside of the musical numbers. But another thing that they do here that I absolutely love when musicals do is they use songs to let us in on the mindset of these characters. They use song to kind of move the story along. And that's absolutely the best way to handle songs in a musical where, it feels like everything means something. This has such a kind of larger than life stage play vibe to it, and I love it. It just adds another level to the film, and it just helps with the charm. And speaking of charm, Timothée Chalamet was so incredibly charming in this. He gave such a good performance here. He had such incredible energy all throughout this performance. He was very funny. He was very good during the musical numbers, and he absolutely nailed some of the smaller, more emotional beats as well. He did an incredible job playing the whimsy and the hope that this character had. I think the whole movie really does kind of hinge on his performance here, and he absolutely kills it. At this point, I don't think there's anything that Timothée Chalamet can't do. He's absolutely one of the best young actors working today. I know I said that in my Dune review. This movie 100% just backs me up on that. Kyla Lane, who played Noodle, did a really good job in this as well. She had great chemistry with Timothée Chalamet. She was another character that really had some good emotional moments. Olivia Colman was awesome as just this pure, evil, mean villain. She was completely over the top, but it worked. And the character was written to be over the top. And it could have been kind of cheesy, but they make it work. The Leaders of the Chocolate Cartel was another set of just fun villains. I think most of the characters as a whole were well written. I really do love how Willy Wonka was written, though. He's just so full of hope and charm and whimsy. Like I mentioned before, I think Noodle was a good character. I liked some of the things that they did with her throughout the film, but she does a really good job of kind of balancing out Wonka. Like I mentioned during some of the performances, the villains with Olivia Colman and even the Chocolate Cartel were over the top. But like I said, I think they were designed that way and it works. The combination of the writing and the performances working together make that work for me. I will say though, unfortunately, I'm not the biggest fan of the Keegan-Michael Key character. I think he did a fine job with the role, with his performance. So I don't necessarily think that it was his fault. His character was there mostly for comedic relief. And I would say maybe about 40% of the jokes actually worked for me, maybe like 35%. So most of the comic relief from his character didn't necessarily work for me. I was also expecting a little bit more from Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa. It's okay, he wasn't there much, but I did enjoy his time on screen. But there's some plot things with him that I think maybe are a little bit too easy, I guess is the best way to saying it without spoiling anything. I think the sets they had were great. I loved every location they used. I loved everything that they ended up building. I think it really gave this film a distinct look. I will also say I think most of the CGI worked for me. Most of the time it looked pretty good, especially the CGI on Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. I thought that looked fine, but I would say I think there's some parts here and there that maybe wasn't necessarily the best CGI-wise, and it kind of pulled me out a little bit, but it didn't really do anything to ruin my enjoyment of the film. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this film. You've heard me say it throughout this review, but these words really describe it well. It is so fun. It is fantastical. It's whimsical. It's so charming. It's absolutely a feel-good movie, and it's an easy watch. If you just want to have like a nice, relaxing, fun time watching a movie at home, I would definitely recommend throwing this on. The story is simple, but the characters and the performances and the songs, the choreography, everything just goes together to help make this stand out. And speaking of standouts, Timothée Chalamet is a huge standout. I love his performance here. This film works so well because of him. Like I mentioned, he's definitely one of the best young actors working today. And, you know, I might be able to even drop off the young part. He might be one of the best actors working today, period. The songs are great and catchy. I'm definitely going to be listening to them in my free time. And this whole thing kind of has a larger-than-life stage play feel about it. Maybe not all of the CGI worked, maybe not all of the characters worked, and maybe not all of the characters or story really had a ton of depth to it. But I think this is a fun movie that I think accomplished what it set out to do. I'm going to give Wonka a 4 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Wonka. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.